everybody. Welcome back to the Music Buds podcast. This is episode number 44, and my name is Henry. This week, I'm honored to be joined by composer Gabriel Hays, whose new project, Secret Magic Control Agency, is now on Netflix. Gabriel, thank you so much for taking the time to talk. I really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. It's great to talk with you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Glad to be here.
Yeah. Well, how's life for you, first of all?
Good right now. I mean, considering the world we've been living in the past year, but we're all healthy and all okay. So that's nice.
That's good.
Yeah. And I think I mentioned we are actually visiting family for the first time in a while. Just some relatives got the vaccine, and so we're able to come see them, and we're doing that. So that's nice.
Yeah. The vaccine is starting to circulate around my area as well, and so it's starting to have a bit of an impact, So it's good news.
Absolutely.
Well, I guess kind of kicking things off, how is it that you got started in music? Was that something you'd always wanted to do?
I think I always loved music. I grew up listening to all sorts of different music that my parents would play. They had a, record player back in when that was the main way to listen. And they also both play. My mom plays piano, my dad plays some guitar. So they'd play music for me, and that kind of always had the interest. I think basically took, in junior high, I had a good friend who, still one of my closest friends. He played at the school. He played piano and he played drums, and I don't know, kind of somehow that just sparked it for me. And from then on, I was pretty much hooked. And I don't know.
Yeah. Well, then how did composing come along? I for whatever reason, from the moment I basically started playing music, I was wanting to make up my own pieces. As tortured as they were, some of them, but I played the piano, and I would try to play the pieces backwards or something as a version of me writing it. I would learn other people's songs, but I think just something about it, the idea that I could create things myself was just hugely alluring. And so all along, I got really into playing different styles. I played in bands, and I studied jazz a good bit for a while, and studied a lot of different things. Studied a lot of traditional Western harmony and all the above, but also just love great songs and love synthesizers and keyboards. I don't know. It just all along, I just wanted to write my own things. Yeah. Well, what were some of the first projects that you got to be a part of?
Do you mean like as a film composer?
Yeah. Once you got started as a composer, what were some of the ones that you got going with?
Sure. I think I worked on a few different friends' shorts, a couple, an animation, and a few just shorts. Kind of, I think like a lot of people, you're just kind of feeling your way into it. Maybe you like making music, but you also have to understand that you're telling stories with it. And you're trying to tell the story that someone else has the vision for a little bit. So I did that. And then I think, ended up actually going to grad school at NYU in New York, and got connected with some different projects through some people I met there. And I'm going to actually just move to another space here. I think people are wandering around.
You're all good.
I got doing that. And then I moved to LA about 9 years ago, and
I was able to land at Hans Zimmer's studio out in Santa Monica, just for a little while, but I was able to do a few things through that, and then just met a lot of interesting people, and kind of one thing led to another. And then about 6 years ago, oh no, actually back then too, I also, a good friend of mine, Brad Breek, who, actually was going to work on this movie as well, but he had some other obligations, so it ended up being mostly me. But he had been doing animation for a long time, doing a lot of cool Disney shows, and he kind of pulled me in at a certain point, and just I got to help him out and sort of learn the ropes a little bit about how to make your way in that world, both in terms of like writing the types of music you had to write, but also like how much music you really had to write and how fast and things like that. And so I don't know, grateful for that whole trajectory as well. And that's a big part of it.
Yeah. And then now this new film, Secret Magic Control Agency, which is this really fun, like it has adventure and kind of like spy elements and fantasy. And it's just such a fun, colorful film. I'm always curious as to how composers tackle animation. Like with a film like this, are you seeing footage or are you just seeing, concept art? Like, what is the process of you getting onto the project and then making the music for it?
Sure. Yeah. Well, we had a relationship with the filmmakers before, having worked on a television series with them. And so through that, ended up, they wanted us to work on this movie, and initially they sent us a script, or sent me a script, and I read through it, and then got an early cut of the movie. And this is very common in animation. Some of it might be almost fully finished, fully rendered, and then other parts will just be storyboards, but with a lot of the dialogue. So from a fairly early spot, there's a pretty good sense of the overall pace of things and of course the story they're telling. So, in a big project like this, I think the big thing was to figure out, from a musical perspective, like some themes that could kind of move through the movie and develop with the movie and tell the story the whole way. So, actually had to take a step back and get into just writing themes on piano. And so I'd send themes to the filmmakers for the Secret Magic Control Agency, kind of the main theme ideas, and themes for Hansel and Gretel, and themes for the Witch and for Elvira, and just all the different interesting characters in there. Kind of wanted to have motifs that could come in and, sometimes interact with each other to tell the story. So it was really fun to be able to go all the way back to piano for a little while and just say, okay, just this melody works for everybody, and we're ready to dig in with that,
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. And one thing that I do love, as I was mentioning, is there are so many different genres blended into this kind of film. And that's something that animation, you can really kind of go crazy with, and really have fun with and explore. And
for sure.
But now, as a composer, was it kind of daunting having so many different kind of styles and elements into it? Or was it more exciting that you had a really open canvas for what you could create?
Yeah, great question. The answer is both. Yeah, it was definitely, I was excited, by the idea of working with both the kind of two main genres, if you will, like the spy and secret agent side of it, and as well as that they're in a fantasy world. And of course, I love a lot of great fantasies. Harry Potter is great, of course, and Lord of the Rings, and of course many others. And so for me, it was just I had to do a little bit of thinking and investigating as well to see, okay, what are some of the common language? What are some common language between the two that might let them work together, and what was distinct about them as well. And just kind of thinking about what kind of moves I could make that would work for both and could kind of touch on both. That was a lot of fun. And it didn't necessarily happen right off the bat. It took a little trial and error.
Yeah. And is your process, and maybe it changes every project, but for like a film like this, are you creating themes specifically for characters, or are you just kind of playing to the overall scene, or is it different every single time for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely both. I think if you have strong character themes in a project like this, you want to be able to play around with those ideas, especially like for me, there's kind of this sense of themes that were also geared towards adventure a little bit. So that was one that I could play around with, or sort of a playful theme that would work for the scene. I guess the question is, like, you also, of course, just sometimes the scene is not directly about that, but you just kind of want to allude to some of those larger themes to kind of pull everyone along, I think overall, on a movie like this, sort of the overall story of the moment or where you are in the thing often takes a little more precedence, but you're always trying to make sure that the longer thread of the whole story and the characters is being included in that,
Yeah.
I mean,
oh, no, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I was just thinking about Hansel in particular. He has a little theme, and he's a gypsy and also pulls tricks, in the movie. And so there were some good opportunities to play where he's kind of grifting people, and he has his themes kind of played directly and overtly like that. But then later there's times where it's a little more reflective and like trying and reflect, and also showing how he's changed as a character over the course of the movie. So that was fun to be able to have it be one way and then recontextualize it later.
Yeah, for sure. Well, another animated project that you've worked on is this Star Darlings series. And one thing that like immediately struck me, and was the same thing with the film, is like the animation is so colorful and it's so vibrant, and it feels like people kind of take animation for granted, or the quality of animation for granted because of the technology that we have. But like just immediately from the first shots, it was so striking and beautifully done. Was that show, I guess, doing an animated series? Is there any difference from doing a film, whether it's animated or not? Is it more challenging, more daunting, or is it each have their advantages and disadvantages?
Yeah, I mean, I think they can have their different challenges. I mean, if just looking at with like Star Darlings, which was a great fun for me to work on, and it was really the first animated project under my own name. So that was also really exciting for me. I had done other more additional work in helping out others, but that was where I got to lead it. But that was just the format was just shorter. So, in that case, actually, it changed a bit over the course of that series. But for example, in a lot of series, they might be 5 or 11-minute episodes. And, the characters might grow generally over the course of the series or a season, but you might be telling just a story that's 11 minutes long. So it's a lot easier to encapsulate that. And once you have the main themes for these characters, you can kind of play with them again and again. The movie is a bit more, and just thinking of animation again, the movie's more daunting just because you have to make continuity over the course of a whole hour and a half or so. And I think make sure that you're really telling. I mean, most people sit down to watch a movie in one sitting, and it's a little bit more of even though there's less actual content, than say a television series over the course of a season. It's just it has to all connect very well over the course of the movie to give it an arc. So I just think it makes you think a little bigger on working on a movie would be one thing.
Interesting.
Yeah. And animation in of itself. I think you were asking that as well. Is that right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a different beast, I think, in some often case than a live action. It usually has a bigger role than in a lot of live action movies. Of course, that just depends on what kind of movie you're talking about. Obviously, a big fantasy or a Marvel movie or a superhero movie will probably have a ton of music. Mm-hmm. But if it's a drama between a couple, for example, maybe it doesn't need that much music to really push the story forward. So that can be one kind of surface difference between the two.
Right. And I feel like it would be the case with every kind of project. The kind of creatively, it would be interesting to think about, should there be music here or should there not be, whether it's animation or not? I feel like just as a composer, I feel like that would be I think that would be a constant thing to have in your head.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a really good thing to think about. I actually usually, especially in animation, I feel really satisfied when I watch a scene and I think, maybe it shouldn't have music, and then I don't put any in, and it's better. I mean, likewise, it's also nice when it needs music, but it can be satisfying to realize that it's sort of addition through subtraction.
Right.
And, filmmakers are often really good about it. They'll just say, hey, I think this section or the scene doesn't really need music, or at least not until later, and they usually have really a good sense of reasons why. And that's very helpful. So I always trust the filmmakers, because they always, as much as I might spend a long time with the movie, they've certainly spent way more than I have.
Right. And with that being said, is there typically one thing that will strike you or interest you in a project, like whether it's the Star Darlings or Secret Magic or even the video game Julia Stiles with Wesley Snipes? Like, is there something that is it typically the filmmaker, the story? Is there something that typically draws you in to be a part of something?
Sure. I mean, yeah, I think those are both very compelling reasons. I was actually just talking with a friend earlier about working with him on a project, and it's just, he's a person whose work I've just always really liked, and so now we might have a chance to work together. And so for me, I don't even need to see what he's done to know that I'm excited to work on it, just because I've seen other things he's done. So, I mean, I think on a basic level, certainly there's filmmakers and directors and producers that, if they said, hey, you want to work on this, I'd probably be just, yeah, of course. Because I just know that what they've done is so good before, Right. And of course, beyond that, if I don't know it, then yeah, just the subject matter or, the way they're telling a story can all be pulls into it for sure. It is nice to have it resonate, of course. That just makes it way more fun.
Yeah. And that's something I feel like I say it to so many people I talk to, but like, I think the collaboration aspect of film and TV, video games, I think that would just be so satisfying, no matter which medium it would be. It would never, it's never something that goes out of style,
Totally. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. The collaboration is the best part. It really is. I mean, in any way, that's the most fun, because inevitably working with others, they'll give you ideas, and just suddenly you can start getting down a path you might not have thought of just by yourself. So,
yeah. With this year having been, of course, in the pandemic and everything, are you someone who likes to watch movies, TV shows in your downtime, or have you been pretty busy with work and other things?
Yeah, well, it was. I of course do love watching movies and shows, but it got so busy for a while there, especially towards the end of making the movie, that there's almost no time to do anything else for at least when it's in crunch time, when you're getting ready to record and whatnot. There's always another thing to figure out, and you always you never you always kind of want to make it as good as you can within the time that you have. So you kind of give it your all as you approach deadlines that are often immovable. So that's part of it. But yeah, I have been watching some lately. Had a little bit more downtime the past month, and that's been really relaxing and fun. So yeah.
Anything in particular that's caught your interest?
Well, we'll see here. What did I watch? I watched the new movie Cherry, which is that's not a light movie, but I thought it was really good. And then also watched, and very different, of course, it's not at all like animation, but I watched WandaVision. Thought that was really fun. Yeah, really enjoyed it. Did you see anything that's caught your attention recently?
Gosh, let's see. Whenever I'm on the spot, I can never actually think of. I did watch Godzilla versus Kong, which was a fun time.
Nice.
Yeah, and I watched the epic director's cut of Justice League, which was such a I wish I had been able to see that in a theater, the scope and scale of it. And I saw WandaVision as well. And so, because I also do the Film Buds, which is a weekly movie and TV review show. And so I stay pretty up to date with all the new stuff coming out.
That's cool. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. I mean, I'm always glad to watch the new movies and shows. There's so many good ones. So you just kind of have to pick something that tickles your fancy, I feel like, and usually you can find something pretty good, pretty entertaining.
Yeah, for sure.
I've been wanting to check out the Snyder Cut, but it is a commitment. So I haven't liked the length and everything.
Yeah. You got to set aside like a day for it.
Yeah. So, for sure.
But, Gabriel, it's really nice chatting with you. And is there anything else in particular I haven't brought up, or anything perhaps coming up that will be coming out that you'd like to have known? Or
I'm working on a couple things now, but they're kind of in NDA status, so I can't say specifically. But I think there's some things that'll be coming out next fall, but you never know 100% about timelines. They can shift on you. And then, I'm also working on have a little chance to hopefully release an album of original music.
Awesome.
This year, if I can figure out the times to finish it up. So it's kind of like, I mean, it's a good problem to have. You always want to be working on cool things, and finding the time to do your own thing is, that's something I hope to do though. Yeah.
That's great. I wish you the best with that. And I feel like with quarantine, I feel like the mentality is, or initially you'll think, I'll have so much time to do things I want to do, and then it's nothing but crunch, just work packed days, so.
Yeah, I know. I feel like we've all maybe been strangely super busy despite quarantine. you know? So, yeah, it does. Well, I know that's always the challenge for me is I always have more things I want to do than I can possibly get done. Mm-hmm. So I guess that's not uncommon.
Yeah, I feel that. Well, cool. Well, Gabriel, thank you so much again for taking the time to talk. And if something else rolls down the line, would love to get you back on sometime. Just thank you so much for being here.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed chatting and got me thinking about some fun things and thanks for letting me pontificate a little bit.
No problem. That's why I'm here. All right, everybody. I think that is about it for the show this week. Please make sure to rate, review, and subscribe on your way out. Thank you so much. Check out my other weekly podcast, The Film Buds. And we hope you enjoyed it as much as we did, and we'll see you next time.